Hey, you guys. Hello again. Okay, so yesterday I showed you how I've been making these little tabbed tags, like with a front and a back. So this will be part two, basically. I wanted to show you sort of how I'm gonna go about embellishing them and, uh, adding some stuff into the window. Um, I did have a question on the video yesterday asking about using the tab punch board to make tabs that you could add onto journal pages. And to actually, it works pretty well. Let me just show you what I was doing earlier. Um, so if you use some kind of cardstock that's not super heavy, like like that 49 and Market paper is just too thick. This punch won't punch through 2 layers of that, but um, some of the lighter weight scrapbook papers will work. The Tim Holtz papers work double in this board, so that would definitely be something you could do. This is a little piece of Tim Holtz paper, and then this is some other brand. Anyway, so if you want to just make tabs that you can use on pages, what I did was I just took a little scrap like this and folded it in half, because you want them to be, you want it to be double and folded, right? um, anyway, so just take a little scrap like that. I put this guy in there, but I don't really think you need it. So if you push this over, there's some way on the back of here where it'll kind of you can kind of push it up to, it's it's like this edge right here on the bottom. If you push that gently over, it'll just kind of stop right there. So push your little piece over to where it just stops, and make sure it's straight across the top here, and punch, and then you've got the first side. And then if you want to actually see, you don't even really need that. If you want to make like a wider tab, you can line this side up with either the large, medium, or small, or you can just line it up wherever you want. You don't even have to really line it up with anything. But if you want them to all be the same size, then you would want to line it up to one of those three, after you punch that first one on the edge. So if you want to just make like a medium size tab, line it up with the medium line, and then you've got your little tab shape. And I actually think it's kind of cool because you can, depending on how wide you make this strip, um, you can have this extra little piece here, and you could either just cut it off, like you could just cut this straight across like that, and you probably could do that on here. Um, Wait a second. If we line it up using, like that, let's see if it'll cut. Yeah. So then it just cuts that off, and you've got a little tab that you can glue onto a page. Or if you leave that on, I was just playing around with it just to see if it was possible. So cut that side, and then see, I'll cut one a little bit. I'll cut this one wider. And then trim off these little ends. And then you could just take a pair of scissors and kind of round that off. It just makes a different sort of shape, kind of deeper tab, which I think is kind of cool, you know. So it could line up, like that on your page, or you could make it a little bit deeper or whatever. Anyway, I just want to show you that's kind of what I came up with, a way to use this tab punch board to make tabs that you could glue onto journal pages. So I hope that answers the question from the previous video. I wanted to show you guys real quickly. I did purchase a couple more tab punches off of eBay. Actually, this one came off from Amazon. It's an EK Success punch. And I like it. I actually kind of like the shape of this one better than this one, but it's kind of similar. It's like the similar shape. I think this one was about $30, something like that, maybe like $28. Um, but yeah, so it makes a nice little tab. And then this guy actually bought off of eBay, was considerably more than that one. It was about double actually. But I really like this style of tab, and it's kind of like a typewriter key style. Anyway, so it makes that little shape. I can't remember what the description name was for this one, but I'll put it in the description in case any of you are as obsessed with, tab punches as I am. And if you want to try to find that one. And I'll also link the other EK Success one in the description that makes this tab. So they made another tab punch a few years ago that I think is pretty much agreed that it basically sucked. So anyway, and I still have it, but it's sitting in a drawer. It just doesn't work very well. Anyway, so here I just wanted to show you a real easy way to use your frame that you've cut out to cut a piece of like acetate or Duralar acetate alternative, or some other kind of packaging, some other kind of clear packaging. I think Wendy used a little clear bag, with when she made her little pocket. But I wanted to show you an easy way to cut this to fit that window really easily. So first thing is I'll take this piece with my back, line them up, and then I'm going to take a pencil and just kind of mark all four sides of my window. Okay, so there's my window marked out. And also, this is how I'm going to know like where I want to add my pieces to be behind the plastic. Okay, I can use these as my guide. Anyway, so then I'm just going to line this up on the top and one of the sides, using the corner, and then use a Sharpie and just kind of mark outside that line a little bit on the other side and the bottom. And then I can just use my scissors and cut this piece out. Okay, without, wasting a whole ton of material. And I don't need to worry about trimming anything off or anything like that. And that is going to get hidden behind this window. So, and then when you glue this down, when you glue that that clear piece down, you really don't need to use very much glue at all. This is art glitter glue in here, but I just add just tiny little dots of glue around the border. And I mean, really, you could just do like one dot on each corner. And the reason you don't want to use too much glue is because if you do, then it'll kind of squeeze out into the inside of your window, and nobody likes that. Anyway, and then just drop your little piece on there like that and just barely touch it. You really don't want to squeeze that glue too much. And then voila. And then you can go about, see, I got a little tiny bit of glue in there. Anyway, that came off of here, I think. And then you can go about decorating the inside of that window. I got to get that glue off. It's going to drive me nuts. Okay. Anyway, so then what I've been doing is just taking a piece of book page and just tearing it to fit inside that window. And again, you could cut it the same way we did that. Actually use that plastic as a guide to cut out another piece of paper to fit behind the window before you glue it onto the front piece. Anyway, so just taking a little piece of book page just to give my little piece kind of a background. Okay, and I just want to make sure that I cover up those lines that I marked initially. And so if you're kind of like mass making these like I am, what I would do is kind of get get them all to this point. If you're not going to use book page, you could use some other kind of, decorative paper as your background. I have a whole bunch of, these are flyleaf pages from a set of books that I had, but I just really like it. So I wanted to try to use some of that. Anyway, so that's my little background. And then I have some more like different sizes. Actually, these I haven't cut the windows out of yet. So let's just work on this one, and then I've got this one here. They're both kind of small. Let me do this one real quick and show you again kind of how I go about doing that. So I mark the edges, and then I take my acetate piece, line up two sides outside of that border, and then I take my Sharpie and mark outside that edge again. Okay, and then I can glue this down. So this is what I mean. So you can use this piece to sort of, you can mark off your background paper that you want to, use behind the window. So I can just mark this with a pencil. And then, and I know that that'll fit behind my window just perfect. So see, I'm just going to add a little dot of glue in each corner. try not to move it too much. Anyway, and then just kind of gently tap it down just a little bit. And that's enough to hold that in place. And then this guy will just go, as long as I'm covering up those lines, then I know that, it's going to fit behind my window perfectly. Just grabbing a wipe. Okay. So there we go. We've got a little background. Um, and then I have this tray of, kind of like ephemera pieces and some fussy cut images and things like that, that I sort of pulled out and set up to work on this little project. I've got, oh my gosh, I actually have kind of a lot of stuff in here. Some little die cut numbers, some little letters and numbers that I use, that I embossed and inked, some labels and some other little die cut shapes, things like that. This is that set of just little ephemera pieces, little Tim Holtz ephemera pieces, some scraps of fabric washi tape from another project, and of course some more washi tape. Just want to use little bits to kind of decorate the frames around these, on these little tags. So let's figure out what we want to put in the window here. I actually have these are images from a book. It's they're the images from that Florilegium book, and these are like the examples of the drawings, and where they give the description of each one of the specimens. So I think that looks really cool like that. So I'm just going to add this little image in here. Oops. That little guy, and then, oh, you could just collage anything in there, right? Could do a little mushroom. And I like to keep my, actually, this one is supposed to go this way. Oops, I messed up. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So put that like that. I like to keep the top piece handy so that I can just keep trying it. I don't really like that on there. But maybe this butterfly, we'll see. Yeah, I think that'll work. I like the little butterfly. Yeah, see? It doesn't have to be complicated. Just a little bit of something, And then I'm just going to go ahead and glue these together. So I'm going to add glue just around the borders. If you want to do any stitching, you can decide if you want to see stitching on the back of your tag or not. If you don't want to see any stitching on the back of your tag, then I would, maybe do some stitching around the window, before you glue them together, you know. Um, that's just kind of a, preference. But you really want to make sure you line these up well so that you don't see the back sticking out, And you want to make sure that you glue pretty close to the edges on this. So, and then there's the whole thing. And then I've just been doing a little tiny bit of kind of layering on the frame around the window. So I'll just take, some kind of little piece like that, maybe a number, maybe one of these little numbers. Actually, it's a black one. Doesn't have to be a lot, and kind of let it spill into that window a little bit. Just little dots of glue. Don't need a lot. And I'm going to add a little, maybe a little label too. Actually, just going to add a little label right up there, kind of in the corner. Okay. And then I actually took a whole bunch of reinforcement, like stickers, the reinforcers, and inked them. I stamped on some of them with some like background stamps and stuff like that. Um, so like this one is like a ruler, like a yardstick image. I'll just add one on the front. And I like to put one on the back too. And then, I mean, you could totally stitch around this too, or you could just stitch around the window, if you don't mind seeing stitching on the back as a tag. I kind of would prefer to not have stitching on the back, but it doesn't, it doesn't make that much difference. I just think about, if somebody wants to write on this, would they rather not have, stitching on the back from the sewing machine? So anyway, so there's that one. And then just, I'll just keep going and doing my little collaging. Got a lot of fussy cut images in here. Let's actually cut one of these out. Man, I'm just like out of it lately. I have not been doing videos much. So sorry if I seem a little weird. Um, so Carla and I were actually talking about, she approached me a few weeks ago about doing some like craft along live streams uh like next month. And I thought that sounded like fun. So that's something that we might be doing. And I think even just adding this little image here uh it might be enough for this. Just adding this one little flower image in here. And I just want to make sure that it's kind of where I want it, you know, before I commit to sticking it all the way down. There we go. And then let's put a little, I love these little pieces. I don't like that turquoise color. Just a second. Yeah, that one worked. Then I could actually add one of these numbers. No, I'm just going to add this little label. Whoops. God, I'm like shaking and throwing things around. Anyway, so add that little label. There we go. So see, this is what I mean. Like, if you don't want to have stitching showing on the back, so I would take this and just stitch around the edge. If you want to add some embellishment onto the frame, like I did on these, so I actually stitched over the pieces that I added on, you know, on some of them. Yeah, see, like on this one, I added the little pieces on there, and then I did my stitching over the top of them. But this one I actually made a little bit different. So anyway, so let's just add some kind of little label. I'm just going to set this on here so I know how it's going to look. Add a little label. I have this guy. I like that guy instead. So under that, I think I'm going to put, I pulled out all those, all these words too. Like I've got this giant stack of all these like words and uh, little quotes and things like that. These are, I think, Tim Holtz too. So let's use this one, Life is Full of Beauty. And I'm going to actually add a little tiny bit of glue on this. It's a sticker, but I don't want it to lift up at some point in the future. So I'm going to glue that down, and then I'll add this little book plate die cut over it. Well, you know, around it. Okay, and then let's add a little piece of one of these washi tape scraps, this fabric washi. Get this upside down. That stuff has some incredible glue on it, so I don't really worry about gluing it down. And then I'm going to add, I think I'm going to add a little butterfly on there too. Whoops, see, I'm just throwing things around. Just add a little butterfly. It's okay if it kind of extends out past the frame a little bit. Just need something else. Add that number on there. So now I'll take it to the sewing machine and I'll stitch around this border, okay, before I glue this down. I'm not going to do that on the video, but you get the idea. And then I'll probably punch a hole and do the same kind of thing. But anyway, I just wanted to give you guys some ideas about how to kind of place your collage or whatever behind the window if you want to do that. Or you could just do something like that and just add an image. You don't have to do a whole little busy thing like that. You could just do an image like that, or you could just use something like that. I was playing around with doing some like making two. Where's my little box? What did I do with that little? Oh, here it is. So I've got a bunch of these frames where they're cut out the same. So I was thinking it would be kind of cool to just use a piece of vellum on both sides and then sandwich some little images inside the vellum, that you won't see as clearly as through, acetate, but I don't know, it's just something I was thinking about playing with. But you could do something like this too with a piece of acetate or the Duralar, glue one onto the front and one onto the back, and then you could add something kind of sandwiched in between those two. I've done it before, like with little slide frames, Anyway, so just something to play around with, and then maybe add a tab on there or something like that. So anyway, there's just a zillion different ways that you could do this, but I'm trying to use up some of these little bits and a bunch of my images that I just love, a bunch of fussy cut um, mushrooms, and um, I actually fussy cut some of my old family pictures too. I was going to do this one. That's my grandma, um, and my great grandma and my dad. Anyway, and just playing around collaging on these little frames, and gives you a place to collage on the frame, and then also on in the inside of your little window you can make a little scene or something. I thought this would be really cool to do for Christmas. Like you could add some snow in there, like little bits of what's that stuff called? It's like it looks like fake snow, underneath the acetate piece. So just all kinds of different things you could do, but super fun. And I've got about a zillion of these that I'm trying to make. So I'm going to get busy and see how many I can get done before I leave town. So I'm not taking all this stuff with me. So anyway, let me know if you have any questions or anything like that, and what you think about making these little framed pieces. I just think they're really fun. And obviously, I've gone a little overboard, but that's what I do. I go overboard. So, all right, guys, I love you, and I will see you in a couple weeks when I get back from Seattle. Okay, bye for now.